So most people that use AI for ads are focused on just one thing, the creative, whether it's generating headlines, writing ad copy, or maybe even some image generation. Now, don't get me wrong, of course, all of those are useful, but it is just maybe 10% of where AI actually fits in. So if you are seriously running paid acquisition, if you're spending real money, building funnels, there is an entire map of AI applications that most people completely ignore. The research, landing pages, email flows, testing, and scaling the entire system. Now, the businesses that I see getting real results from AI are not just the ones bolting on random tools to write their ad copy, they have embedded AI across their entire funnel. And that changes literally everything. It changes the speed, the cost, and most importantly, the quality of the output. So in today's video, I am going to map out the complete acquisition funnel for you and show you exactly where AI will fit in at every single stage. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to build this out live on a whiteboard so that you can see how all of the pieces connect together. And by the end of this video, you will have a full picture on how to actually use AI across your entire funnel and not just the ads. And if you stick around till the end, I'm going to show you the one stage that most people skip that honestly I've seen made the biggest difference. So with that being said, let's get into the video. Okay, so let me map this out for you. Now, when most people think about AI for ad creation, they typically think about just the creation itself, just literally the ad process, creating the ads in the first place and coming up with variations of those ads. Just because simply in their mind, that's where AI really lives, within the realm of the ads themselves. However, with that being said, an actual acquisition funnel looks a lot more like this holistically. Now, I know it looks like there's a lot of moving parts to this, but really it's not as complicated as it may seem. But the point being that it is far more sophisticated than just the ads. Now, of course, there is a lot more going on, and AI fits into every single one of those individual stages. So let me walk you through what each one of those actually entails. I'll show you exactly what AI can do at each stage, and more importantly, what people are missing. So first and foremost, let's start with the research process. So I'm starting here for a very, very good reason. And the reason why I want to start with the research process is because honestly, it's the most underrated AI application across the entirety of the acquisition funnel. So many people, so many businesses, they skip straight to the part where they're prompting ChatGPT or Claude to write me some ad copy. But if you do that, then you're just asking AI to guess. And of course, as we've covered and discussed in previous videos, when you are getting AI to guess, it's going to give you very, very bland, very generic outputs. Now, research is precisely where you build the foundation that makes everything else in this entire funnel work best. And there are three types of research that AI can help with, as we can see. So number one, we have competitor analysis. Number two, we have market research. And number three, we have customer language. So first of all, if we look at competitor analysis. So what are your competitors actually running? What hooks are they using in their ads? What angles are they using? What offers are they testing? So you can go ahead and very simply pull ads from the meta ad library, screenshot these ads and drop them into Claude and then ask Claude to break down the structure. What is the hook? What is the call to action? What emotions are they targeting in these ads? What objections are they handling and addressing? Now, if you do this across 20, 30, even 50 ads from competitors, you will start to see patterns. You will start to see angles that repeatedly show up every time, hooks that are clearly working. That's, really, really important intel that you can actually use and go and apply to your own campaigns. Now, to go a bit more in depth here and a little bit more advanced, you can even start looking at automations here that you can build workflows and agents that will work for you to do all of this work. So you can build out a very specific workflow inside of Poppy AI, inside of Claude, inside of NA10, inside of Gumloop, wherever really you prefer. And you can automatically collect these pieces of data so that AI will scrape winning ads from a competitor's ad library, whether it's direct from Meta, whether it's from third-party tools like Motion or Foreplay, and it will automatically do the analysis for you and recreate the winning patterns for your brand on brand fully autonomously. So then second, we have market research. So, what actually is the conversation happening in your market right now? What are people in your industry talking about? What trends are emerging? So, AI can synthesize this very, very quickly. If you feed AI articles, threads, Reddit posts, industry reports, and you ask it to pull out key themes, what keeps coming up? What are people frustrated about? What are they excited about? Now, this would have used to have taken you hours and hours of reading to just actually come up with the ideas in the first place. But with these AI systems, you can compress this entire process literally into just minutes. Now, of course, there are multiple ways of doing this. You can use something like Reddit Answers if you want to dive specifically into what's happening on Reddit. ChatGPT Deep Research is very effective when effectively prompted and when prompted correctly, but one of the most underrated use cases that I've been testing recently and found recently to be really effective is Google's new Notebook LM tool. So with this tool, what you can do is you can go ahead and prompt it to search for specific sources. Now, with these sources, you can then turn those sources into a chat like you would be with a standard LLM and ask it questions based on the sources it's retrieved, and then export answers from the chat into multiple different formats, which, for example, could just be a comprehensive research report. Now, this, what I've seen, goes a lot more in depth than any other AI research tool, purely because of the fact that the sources it's retrieving the data and information from are far more extensive. Now, the third use case for research is, in my opinion, the big one: customer language. So, what words are your actual customers using to describe their own problems, their desires, their goals, their pain points, their objections? Honestly, this data is absolute gold. Now, if you feed AI any of your customer reviews, any testimonials that you have, any transcripts from client calls, onboarding calls, or sales calls, you can even have it scrape your Amazon store listing so that you are gathering data on reviews that people have left on your product. Basically, anywhere where your customers are actually talking in their own words. You can then use AI to extract the exact phrases, so not paraphrased, but the actual verbatim terminology, the specific words that your customers are using to describe their pain point, their goals, and again, potentially their objections. Now, this becomes then the raw material for everything else across the entire funnel: your ads, your landing pages, your emails, because when you use your customers and prospects' exact verbatim terminology across your copy, it will resonate so much clearer with them. Because as Alex Hormozy once described very well, the clearer you can articulate your understanding of a prospect's pain point, the more likely they are to believe you have the solution to it. So they will feel with this process that you are literally reading their mind because you can articulate their pain point just the same way that they would, which is why research comes first, because everything downstream across the entire funnel gets better when you do this properly, when you know how to leverage AI for this process. But what most people miss, and honestly, this is really, really important, they do the research once at the start and they never touch it again. But the reality is that the most leverage when it comes to using AI for research is actually treating this entire process as a living system. So every single time you get new data from customers, new reviews, new call transcripts, feed that back in to your AI system, because then from that your AI outputs will compound over time and get better because you are feeding it with more data. Okay, so that is research. Now let's move on to the part that everyone typically focuses on, like we said. Next up, we have ads themselves. Now, obviously, this is where most people do typically tend to start, but it's also where most people stop as well. There is so much more depth in this section than simply just prompting Claude or ChatGPT to, as I said, write me some ad copy. Now, for the sake of simplicity in this Miro board, I have summarized this into two different aspects: ad creation and ad variations. But really, if we go a bit more in depth, there are actually three parts to the ad process. Part one is the scripting aspect. So the copy, the hooks, the angles, the body copy itself, the call to actions. Now, obviously, this is the most commonly used AI application. But the thing here is that the quality of your ad copy is directly tied to the quality of your research. If you did the work in the first stage, this stage will become a lot easier because you are not just asking AI to guess at this stage. You've already given it that real customer language, you've given it the real pain points, and you've given it real angles that it can actually work with. Now, very importantly here, when you are using AI to generate copy for your ads, you must include what's called negative constraints. So in other words, you must be telling AI what not to do, because if you don't do this, it will just fall back on lazy patterns that it has been trained on. Now, you must remember that AI is trained on data, thousands and thousands, millions of pieces of data and patterns across the entire internet. So therefore, when it doesn't have constraints, it will default to the most commonly used patterns because it doesn't know any better. So this is where you start to see these very generic phrases, things like unlock your potential, skyrocket, or transform your business. It's where you see these really cringy phrases like it's not X, it's Y. All of this very generic marketing, AI sounding kind of like jargon that you see flooded across LinkedIn posts. So with that being said, you must include a never use list when you are prompting, because what this does is it forces AI to block the words that make copy sound like AI. And this alone will make a massive difference in your ads. So then we have the creating and the editing, the actual process itself, the production of the ads. Now for static ads, of course, you may be using AI tools or briefing designers based on AI generated concepts. And for video ads, AI helps a lot when it comes to scripting, which we covered, but also with editing workflows as well. Now there are so many tools now that can do these rough cuts or generate B-roll or create variations of the same core video itself. Now this space, of course, is moving very, very fast. And I don't want to get too much into this because honestly, this video itself is not designed to be a tutorial on how to use AI to create videos and images. But the point here is that AI isn't just for words anymore. It's increasingly part of the production process. There are tools out there you can use like Higgsfield AI, which centralizes access to basically every single video and image generation tool. For example, like Flux, like Nano Banana, all of these different tools that you can get access to centralized inside of a tool like Higgsfield that really is giving you the ability to use AI to create ads at a scale that we haven't been able to reach yet. So with these, what you can do, for example, is take winning ads and then prompt them to change specific elements of those ads. It could be a static ad or a video, and then you can go ahead and easily create 30, 50, 100 variations of that winning ad that you can test based on how well it performed, literally just in seconds. So then from a video perspective as well, you can easily prompt VO3 or Sora to generate you these AI UGC videos that you can test at scale. But the important thing here to remember is that, for example, AI UGC generation, it is not quite ready and it is not quite at the point where it's indistinguishable and compete with real UGC. It's nearly at that stage, but not quite. But the real workflow and the real use case is that it's not designed to be 100% perfect at this stage. Obviously, at some point, maybe a couple of months down the line, it will be. But right now, the most effective use case I've seen comes from its ability to be able to test quickly and cheaply, and specifically to be able to test hundreds and hundreds of variations, and this applies to static too. So then with this, when you have done that and you found a winner because you're able to test more, you can then double down and start using a real creator to actually go ahead and script and record a real life version of the winning UGC ad, or invest time or effort from a designer to actually recreate and repurpose a static ad based on the one that you found winning using AI. So then the third, but the second box here in terms of aspect of the ad creation process is variations at scale, like I just touched on. Now, this is really, in my opinion, where you can get the most leverage from AI. If, for example, you've got a winning hook, you can just ask AI to generate 20 variations of that hook, presuming that you provide the reason on why that was effective. If you found a winning angle, again, you can just ask AI to provide you different executions of that same angle. And let's say, for example, you've got a winning ad. You can just paste that back into Nano Banana, an image generation tool like I just mentioned, and simply ask it to recreate that ad with a different call to action or a different opening or a different format or with a different background or lifestyle shot, whatever it may be. But the main point here is that the volume that AI enables is absolutely insane, and what used to take a creative team days and days to produce can literally now happen in hours. But really importantly here, the volume itself only matters if your foundation is solid. So like I say, when it comes to AI, you put garbage in, you get garbage out. And it's just the same, but the difference will be that the garbage you get out will be at a larger scale. So that's ads. We have the scripting, the production, and the variations. Now, most people, they typically tend to stop here. And if they do, they are leaving a lot of leverage on the table because, of course, the research and the ad get the click. But what happens after someone clicks? Well, after this stage, this is where the conversions take place. And ultimately, as a result, this is where the money is made. So then next up, we have landing pages. So the ad, of course, yes, as I said, gets the click, but the landing page is what gets the conversion. And this is where I'd say 90 to 95% of funnels are leaking in the first place. And therefore, it's where AI is actually massively underused because it has a massive opportunity to recoup such a large percentage of those lost conversions. Now, I personally don't hear too many people talk about this, but from a funnel perspective, there are three parts to the landing page itself. We have the structure and the design, so the layout, we have the sections and how the actual landing page itself flows, we have the copywriting, and then we actually have building the landing page. So first of all, if you think about the design and the structure of the landing page, if you describe what you're selling and who you're selling it to and ask for a landing page structure, then AI is simply going to give you that. It's going to tell you what sections the landing page should have, it's going to tell you the order it should be in, and it's going to tell you where the call to action should go, where the different pieces of copy should go. But at this stage, it's not going to design it for you, but it will give you a very, very strong starting blueprint based on what it understands to actually convert. Then, second of all, we have the copywriting aspect. So the headline, the subheadlines, the body copy, the call to actions themselves in terms of what they say, the social proof sections, and the FAQs. Of course, there is a lot of copy on a landing page, and the principle here is exactly the same as ads. You still need to be feeding AI the research in the first place, that customer language, those pain points, those desires, because then if you don't do this, you're going to be getting generic landing page copy. So if you give it the raw material, you can ensure that the copy it provides you is actually aligned with your product. Now, one thing to mention here is the importance of congruence. Now, what do I mean by congruence specifically? So your landing page copy needs to match the ad. If your ad promises one thing and the landing page talks about something completely different, well, this is the number one and easiest way to leak conversion because it feels completely disjointed. Now, a really simple, effective, and underrated use case for AI is actually just ensuring and helping you with this. So if you feed AI the ad and you ask it to write landing page copy that continues that thread, it will write the same angle, the same language, and the same promise so that you ensure your entire funnel from ad to landing page is fully congruent. Now, from a build perspective, there are now so many AI tools that can actually speed this up for you. So many of these page builders now, like Wix, like WordPress, like Framer, even Webflow, these companies already have these AI integrations, and this is something that can just speed up the process by leveraging these tools. But also, if you're writing code, AI can even generate that code for you, so then you can go ahead and just use that code and turn that into an actual landing page. Now, really, this process is less about using AI to replace the work, and more so about just using AI to accelerate the build of the landing page. So in my opinion, landing pages are honestly neglected when it comes to the AI conversation, but of course, they are at least half of the funnel. And if you're using AI for ads and not for landing pages, you're really only doing half the job. There is so much more to use when it comes to AI and when it comes to landing pages. So then to keep moving through and down the funnel, what actually happens after someone converts? Let's say someone opts in or they sign up. Well, you need to be following up with them. And this is where email and SMS flows come into play. So first of all, let's talk about email flows. Think, for example, welcome sequences, nurture sequences, onboarding flows, re-engagement campaigns. There are a lot of emails to write, completely irrespective of whether this is a product funnel, a VSL funnel, a webinar funnel, a challenge funnel, whatever it may be, completely regardless of the type of funnel that you run. AI, in my opinion, is honestly insane for this. So if you outline your strategy, what order the emails should be placed in, the purpose of each one, then you will simply have AI being able to draft each individual email for you. Again, the same principles apply here in terms of the landing page and the copy, in terms of your ad copy too. You need to be feeding AI the customer language, again, the context and the tone, and give it examples here of emails that have worked in the past and explain why, and then again, provide it with constraints in terms of copy you don't want it to include. So then from that, you can literally generate an entire email campaign, an entire email sequence in literally just seconds because AI will simply write it for you, presuming you have prompted it correctly. Then all you need to do is, go into your ESP, your email sending platform, simply refine those emails and upload them very simply so that you can launch them. Now, in terms of the actual workflows, in terms of the automations, in terms of the triggers, the logic, again, AI can help you think through this structure. What email triggers first? What order should the emails be structured in? What happens if someone doesn't open, and what happens after they convert? What gap time-wise should you be leaving between each email? So again here, all you need to do is simply go to AI and describe what you are trying to accomplish. And based on the purpose of the emails and based on the goal of this entire sequence, you will be able to have AI map out the entire logic for you. Then again, you can simply go ahead and build out that entire sequence inside of your email sending platform. So then we have SMS campaigns. Now, SMS is very, very similar, just of course, slightly different in the fact that you have shorter copy. It's more direct. You of course have character limits. AI can draft it, but you are going to require much tighter constraints because SMS needs to be extremely direct and just honestly a lot punchier than emails. You can't afford to, write any sort of fluff, which we all know AI can typically tend to divert to. Now, not every funnel uses all of this, but if yours does, AI will fit really, really well here. And most people never think about using AI to generate SMS campaigns. Again, the principles are the same. Add negative constraints, feed it customer language, feed it context, feed it tone, give it examples of SMS campaigns that have worked well, and simply prompt it to generate you an SMS sequence very, very quickly. So now we get to the part which I think is actually the most important and one of the most overlooked stages of using AI for funnels. And that, quite simply, is testing and iteration. Now, in my opinion, for most people, this is where AI goes from a extremely useful tool to actually building a very unfair advantage. It's very, very easy and it's very useful, of course, to use AI to create ads, to create landing pages, these custom email flows. But the real leverage is learning from AI. So first of all here, we have analyzing performance analysis. So you've got data coming in now, of course. Some of these ads that you're running are going to be working. It's likely that the majority of them won't be. That's just the nature of ads. Again, you'll have some landing pages that are converting, and again, you'll have some that don't. Just a bit like emails. Some will get clicks, some will get responses, while some will be left unopened. So what you must do at this stage in order to really benefit from the potential of AI is feed all of that data back into the AI. Tell it which one of these ads, landing pages, email sequences, SMS sequences, whatever it may be, were winners, and ultimately which ones were losers too. So then you can ask AI to find patterns within those. What do all of your winning ads have in common, for example? What are the typical common hooks that are working across all of your ads? Which angles are resonating really, really well with your desired and qualified ICP? What about the losers? What patterns are showing up in every single landing page variant that didn't convert, for example? Now, AI can do this very effective thing called pattern matching across so much more data than the individual average person can just kind of hold in their head. What it will do is it will surface these insights and data points that you personally would miss, which is why it's so effective for this. So then from those insights and from those data points, you can start finding winners faster based on that analysis. You can simply ask AI what worked so well. What did I do in these winning ads that made them winners? Why did this batch of landing pages convert better than the others? And AI will help you prioritize so that you're not just getting data, for example. You're not just learning that, for example, this ad has the best ROAS, but it will tell you why. It will tell you why that ad had the best ROAS, why it's working, and how you can replicate that to do more of it. It can tell you which type of ad, which angles, which hooks, how often you should be running and testing these different angles and different hooks. What style of landing page works best for your audience and for your qualified ICP? What type of copy on your landing page is working? Is it more direct response? Is it urgency based? Is it more educational? What format, what tone, what best emails have been proven to get the most opens from your audience? Ultimately, there is so much leverage from the analysis stage, in my opinion. So then once you know what's working, you simply just want to feed that data back into AI so that you can generate variations. It's very, very simple. Now, from this, there are so many different things that you can do in terms of testing, iterating, scaling, and optimizing your campaigns. You could take the winning hook, you can create variations of that. You can take the winning angle and apply that to different formats. You can also just see what's happening because it becomes one giant loop where everything really compounds, you're getting more data, and it feeds back into that research process. You're not just creating this research loop once and kind of hoping from the best. You end up learning from that data and that performance, and you are continuously feeding all of that data back into the research process, which is how it becomes this compounding system that gets better results over time. Now, honestly, in my opinion, this is the most effective use case when it comes to AI, because what you do is you simply are allowing the AI to compress the testing cycle for you. You end up being able to scale faster because you are compounding data, because you are finding more winners, because AI is pattern matching across everything that you've run and feeding that data back into the system every single time. Now, most people don't even bother with this stage. They can completely neglect it. They launch, they use AI to create, launch, and then manually analyze these things, but they use AI to create ads and then launch the ads, and then they are manually analyzing everything, but they are leaving the biggest leverage on the table, which is being able to feed that data back into the AI system and compress the testing cycle so that you can get better results faster. So then now the last stage is scaling and optimizing. So you've got winners, but now you want to scale your spend without destroying your performance and without having to worry about things coming in like creative fatigue. So first of all, you want to start by doubling down. Now, AI is going to help you identify what you can scale and how you can scale it. So in terms of scaling winners, it's, not just a case of spending more, but with AI, you want to identify what is working, why it's working, and how you can expand on that without killing the idea in the first place. Now, in terms of volume, when you have volume, of course, as you scale, you're going to be looking to increase your spend, increase your budget, which means you need to match that with volume. More creative, more variations, more landing page tests, more email sequences and SMS flows. And this is really where the production speed that AI enables really matters, because it allows you to produce more without proportionally increasing your workflow. And then thirdly, you have this ongoing analysis. So scaling isn't just something that you can kind of set and forget, because if you leave this, your performance will change. Inevitably, it's going to happen. You're going to have ads that are working well one day, and then the next day they're going to suddenly stop working and you don't understand why. Your creatives will fatigue because you just need to keep watching what's going on, because if you don't keep watching, these creatives that were working so well one day suddenly get hit by creative fatigue and they stop working and you're completely unaware of it. So as a result, you need to keep iterating. You need to keep optimizing continuously, and whether with AI you can do this on a continuous basis rather than just in like a one-off session. So if you look here at this entire full funnel, at the whole picture here, you have the research, which basically, this is the foundation, your competitor analysis, your market research, and your customer language. Then you have the actual funnel itself. So, you have the ads, the landing pages, the email, the SMS flows, and then you have this feedback loop aspect. You have the testing and the iteration, and then you have the scaling, you have the learning, you have the optimizing, and feeding that back into the entire system. So like I said, AI fits into every single stage of this, not just the ad copy itself, the entire system. And this is what an AI-powered acquisition funnel actually looks like. It's not just one tool being randomly used at a specific stage. It's AI being embedded throughout the entire funnel, compounding at every different stage. Now, with that in mind, this is the full map. So research, ads, landing pages, emails, testing, and scaling. AI has a role at every single stage. The businesses and the companies that I've personally observed getting the best results from their funnels, and honestly just being able to get the highest leverage from AI, are not just using it to write ad copy. They are doing exactly this. They are implementing it at different stages, embedding it across their entire funnel so that they can benefit from the compounding leverage which comes from doing exactly that. Now, I know I've covered a lot in this video, and if you want to see how I actually use these tools and these systems on a day-to-day basis, I have another video breaking down the specific tools and workflows that I use on a daily basis. So I've linked that in the description. Feel free to click and watch that to learn more. With that being said, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. If you found this useful, please go ahead and drop a comment. Let me know what worked. Let me know what resonated. Let me know what stage you're going to focus on first. And of course, do let me know if you have any questions, feedback, or comments that I can address. And with that being said, I will see you in the next video.